Hey YouTube, what's up? I'm Chris and today is February 14th, 2013. Welcome to your bonus video number 2. Wow, so this is what JB feels like on Thursday. It seems eerily similar to Monday. Now before you freak out because I'm interrupting the time-space Five Awesome Musicians continuum, I figured I would take this opportunity to tell you about how I feel about virtual ensembles while completing a requirement I have for a critical pedagogy class I'm taking. No, I promise it won't bore you completely to death, but it will probably make you think about how choirs create a very complex community and how virtual choirs can enhance one's individual voice while simultaneously stifling it. This week's assignment was to reflect on how you have learned in a complex community or space, in light of the 3 readings, Biesa 2004, Chenery 2007, and Hames 2003. The choral ensemble, or choir as most people call it, is a very complex web of communal relationships. The relationship between conductor and singer, conductor and choir, singer to fellow section member, singer to the choir member all the way on the other side of the room. Tenors to altos, sopranos to basses, musical relationships, expressive relationships, social relationships, people that you love just being around, people who you sing duets with, and the people you go drinking with, the people you get to know on long bus rides, the people you add to Facebook just so you can get to know them better. Each of the singers have a unique voice, a voice that they raise to join in the community that we know as choir. As a director, when I think of all the ways to create a choral sound, I always have a battle in my heart and mind over whether to allow my singers to sing individualistically or to force them to conform to the proper choral sound. Patricia O'Toole in 2005 discussed in her article, "I sing in a choir, but I have no voice," how the conventions that choir teachers use in their rehearsal process creates docile, complacent singers. She went on to discuss how singing in choirs throughout her life stifled her musical expression and creativity. The conductor would create this dominant role where it was his way or the highway. The frustration that she experienced is not unique only to her. I too have felt that when I was singing in a choir and being told to sing a specific way, that it was crushing to my musical expression. This leads me to my first singing example. If we were to all sing a specific sound with the expression that was created by only one director, we would sound like automatons. If we all had the same voice in choral music, we would have this eerie, surreal sound. Here's an example of Dan Wright singing Eleanor Rigby. I find what he did extremely inspiring and innovative. He created a choir with his voice alone. Though this feat, in my opinion, is very breathtaking, the timbre of the sound is hollow and a bit spooky. When all the voices are put together, there seems to be a lack of warmth to my ear, because there's no variance in the instrument that produced this music. It's static. The expression is one person's interpretation. The idea of one voice recorded many times from one performer is not that alarming at all. However, if a choir had the same one voice, the community would lose something. Gert Biesa discussed how a number of individuals can come together to create a rational community, and they essentially create one voice. They engage in serious speech. In Biesa's rational community, people become interchangeable. It doesn't matter who says something, as long as it makes sense. It depersonalizes an individual's vision and insight. And I find it alarmingly similar to O'Toole's problem with the stifling of her singing voice. However, I do find much joy in the ideas that Biesa presents on the modern community. In this community, otherness is embraced. Each person has their own unique response. And to apply this to a choir, each person has their own unique voice. I love the gospel music of Kirk Franklin. I can see their faces and their expression and who they are, and they're bringing the experiences of their lives into every moment of music making. A modern community choir has a beautiful aura of togetherness and expression. The Moses Hogan Chorale's version of Elijah Rock exemplifies this for me. A group of African-American men and women who found their voice in the spirituals of their ancestors. Each member of the chorus sings the music with passion and power. These powerful singers are also powerful men and women who have taken their voice to band together and strengthen the image of black people. In my opinion, this choral community serves as a training ground for strengthening their voices as singers and as citizens, not to agitate, as Hames discussed in the urban black culture. They celebrate their history as well as share the gift of their heritage with the masses. Oftentimes, as Chinnery pointed out, educators ask marginalized groups to share their experiences with the classroom to help legitimize them to the community. This is often done in choirs where a predominantly white group of singers will sing Negro spirituals. I believe that they enjoy it and it's fun for them. After all, I've often had my Caucasian students sing African American music. But the danger is the disconnect of rationale. An educator should always question their motivation for including this type of music. Is it to teach students about voice timbre, singing styles, or multicultural history? Or are you simply attempting to legitimize members of the African community into your classroom society? By singing multicultural music, do you hope to erase the differences of that group's history, making your students attempt to empathize with their music? Chinnery argues that by erasing differences of other groups in order to assimilate their otherness to your community, you are actually creating a form of metaphysical violence. I see a slight parallel to this violence in the editing of recordings. Before I go into that, I want to share with you one of the most awe-inspiring videos of asynchronous music making I've ever witnessed. Eric Whitacre's virtual choir has become a phenomenon since its inception in 2009. Have a look at the song Sleep. Is a gorgeous example of having hundreds of singers come together throughout the entire world. Each person recorded themselves singing to Eric Whitacre's conducting. One submitted the virtual choir engineers created an audio-visual spectacular that's now in the Guinness Book of World Records. However, I have a critical problem about this project. I'm in it, but I don't know where. I created my video, I submitted it the way they asked. I don't know where my name is in the credits, I don't know where my voice is, and even though I've challenged many classes of my students to find me, no one's won the game of Where's Waldo. Don't get me wrong, I love this video, and I use it all the time as a great example of bringing people together to make music. However, I feel that it is an example of BS's rational community. The voices are interchangeable, and that's blaringly evident to me in the editing processes of the voices to produce a homogeneous sound. So last week, I attempted to create a virtual choir of my own that focused on otherness, a BStian modern community virtual choir. Though I was the only one who controlled the final editing process, I made every attempt to make sure that every voice was well represented in the mix, as well as every face. Each voice got 2 run-throughs, there was no auto-tuning, and the only thing I adjusted was level so that no voice would overtake the entire arrangement. At times, the intonation and pitch of the song were compromised, however, as the nature with rounds, dissonance and consonants flow back and forth to create your musical expression. As a critical musician, I hope to exemplify what Biesta wrote about. He said, the only thing that we can do is to make sure that there are at least opportunities within education to meet and encounter what is different, strange, and other. And also, that there are opportunities for our students to really respond to finding their own voice and their own way of speaking. In this arrangement, I hope that the singers felt that they were able to respond by emoting the song how they wanted. They found their own voice in not only recording their video to submit, but in other ways. I have 2 examples. One man that appeared in the video is singing in public for the first time in his life, and one woman, who happens to be my cousin, is singing for the first time in 5 years. They found their voice, their way of speaking. Their joy was found or rekindled. It is my hope that the people who I invited to sing with me were able to experience what Chinnery refers to as the second birth. They came into this community as a virtual cast, as a unique individual being. Their voice was found, and it was heard.